Hey everybody, it's Delusion Dispeller. I decided to come back on for just a bit, not very long, because I do have to get some sleep, and it is almost 11 o'clock. But I want to talk about something real briefly. First, I want to offer a disclaimer. All of the names, well, the name I'm going to be talking about has been changed. This was an actual person in my life. Hey Kim, there's an actual person in my life. I'm going to call her Rachel. That was not her real name. It was back in, oh boy, 1998, I believe it was. Might have been a little bit later, maybe 99. We're going to talk about Rachel. She had borderline personality disorder, anorexia, and I believe bulimia as well. But I'm not sure on the bulimia, but definitely anorexia. And I want to talk to you about how borderline personality disorder manifested in her online because she was an online friend. And it's good to know this stuff because when you see it, you'll recognize it when it comes up. And I'll talk to you a little bit about my experiences with her. Hi, everybody. Um, Kim, if you will, when people come in here, let them know Dee Dee says hi, but Dee Dee's kind of on a roll here, and I really want to get this information out there. All right, so Rachel is the name of the person, and this happened in, like I said, 98, 99. It has nothing to do with anything that's happening now. This was an actual situation. But I want you to see how on the internet borderline looks, because that is exactly the way it happened to me back then. I am. Okay, so first of all, there are 10 traits of borderline personality disorder. And by the way, I turned this sideways, so you're getting more of a side view, hopefully. I'm just going to list the traits and then I'll go into detail on them. First of all, fear of abandonment, um, unstable and intense interpersonal connections, identity disturbance, impulsivity, suicidal thoughts and behaviors, affective instability, chronic emptiness, inappropriate displays of anger, and lastly, I think it's lastly, hang on a minute, I'll make sure I'm on the right number. Yep. And basically a belief that people are against them, like a paranoia type thing. All right, so let's go back up to the top. I'm going to talk to you about this now. Hello, everybody. So, this is a fear of abandonment to the point that the person finally does abandon them because of how clinging and enmeshing they can do. They can be. Hi, Melly. Um, yes, I'm lively. Rachel, in this instance, how this manifested in her, the fear of abandonment. I've been on the receiving end of her, and this is how it looked. She considered me her pastor. I was known as Pastor Laura back in that day on Pale Talk. And she considered me her pastor. She expected me to come online, read the Bible to her every day, spend lots of hours in prayer with her. And that's the kind of relationship we had. I was her pastor. She was my, I guess, congregant or whatever. So I was kind of mentoring her, but yet she was kind of mentoring me too. It was kind of a weird, symbiotic, somewhat relationship, I guess. Um, the problem was Rachel had this very intense fear of abandonment, very intense, to the point. Oh, I'm not giving it. Oh, any, yeah. That's why I'm not saying hi, hi, hi every time somebody comes in here. Um, it was to the extent that if I wasn't available to read the Bible with her, then I didn't like her. Um, I gave up on her. I hated her, whatever. This was in her mind, in Rachel's mind. And so she would freak out. And instead of me abandoning her, she'd be like, well, I know you didn't come on here to read the Bible with me today. You probably just don't want to hang out with me anymore. That's okay. Everybody abandons me. Everybody leaves me. You're just like the rest of them. That's fine. I understand. I forgive you, whatever. And I'm like, what? I just haven't gotten on there yet. I'll be on in another hour. Just hang in there. I'll be there. But at that point, she was just like, no, that's fine. That's fine. I understand. Yes, Molly, I'm fine. Anyways, this cat is not fine though because he's bothering me. Um, I'm telling a story about something that happened to me in 1998, 1999. Cat, please stop climbing on me right now. All right. So she would freak out over that, and I would just be kind of like rolling my eyes, going, what is her problem? What is the big deal? I just was a few minutes late. At the time, I did not know Rachel was borderline, but she was. Okay. Um, it became very irritating, and soon I did grow tired of her constant, fear of this. Because I wasn't the type of person, I was like I am now pretty much. I didn't do that to my friends. I wouldn't make a friend and then just give up on them for no good reason. It just was, I had something going on and I got there late, so our Bible time had to be, postponed a bit. All right, but that's not how she saw it. Um, the other, oh, crying? No, no, I was not crying. Not today. Well, not in hours. When I threw my back out this morning, I was crying, but no, I haven't been crying. I've been on medicine. That could be why my voice sounds kind of weird too. Number 2, unstable, intense interpersonal connections. Wanting to be with someone always, but then suddenly angry, sad, fearful, and then back to happy again. Rachel's moods changed constantly. One minute she was my best friend. We were having such a great time. Within about a half an hour, she would pull into herself and just be like, I just don't feel like doing this anymore. Well, why not, Rachel? We were having such a good time. I don't know. I'm just sad. I just feel sad. Like, okay, did I do something? No, it's not you. It's me. I hate when people say that to me. It's not you. It's me. It's like, well, obviously it's you, but that's not the point. I'm trying to figure out how to fix this, how to help you. Well, Rachel didn't want help or couldn't accept help because it's something on the inside of her, not me. It was a personality disorder. It was a flaw in her personality that made her perceive things in the wrong way and in a paranoid way sometimes. But we'll go into that later. She would get very angry then. She'd just be like, no, I just don't want to do anything with you right now, okay? I just need space. I'm going to go off and be by myself. And I'm like, okay, but I thought we were going to talk and whatever. So I was just like, okay, whatever. So that's the unstable interpersonal connections. And she had these with everybody, not just me. We would be in a group, like a Bible study group, and all of a sudden she would type in, I gotta go. And everybody's like, why? What happened? She'd say, I just need to go into the wilderness. That's what she would say. I need to go into the wilderness and be alone with the Lord to pray. And everybody would be like, what? you know? But then behind the scenes, while she was gone for like a week at a time, she would be talking to each one of us individually, turning us against the other person, planting little seeds of doubt. She would say, hey, I need you to pull up that chat we just had the other day. See how, we'll call her Mary. See how Mary said this about Susie? Yeah, well, I think Mary has some kind of jealousy towards Susie. You see what I mean, huh? And then eventually people would be like, oh, yeah, I didn't really notice that. Yeah, I guess I do see what you mean. Pretty soon, everybody was against each other, and we couldn't figure it out. Rachel's gone, so we're like, well, gee, has anybody heard from Rachel? No. Oh, I talked to her for a minute the other day, but we weren't going to tell each other that Rachel just poisoned us against our friends, you know? So everybody was kind of keeping this one-on-one relationship secret with Rachel behind the scenes, and everybody noticed that Rachel was gone, but none of us knew where the heck she went or when she was coming back or what was going on with her, because she wouldn't answer her phone when we would call. She wouldn't text us back, but all the while she's turning people against each other. This is one of the ways borderlines operate online. That's why I came on here to talk to you about specifically some of the things you can notice online with other people now. This is what Rachel did to me years ago and to us, our friends. All right. So then Rachel would come back, and after everything calmed down, we would all be, kind of with each other on the same page. We'd all have a nice little Bible study. Everybody was at peace, and none of us knew that Rachel was doing all this stuff in the beginning of the week. Rachel will come back a couple weeks later, enter the group, and everything was okay. Then we'd go along for a while. She would be seeming to enjoy the group. She'd be like, oh, I gotta go. I gotta go into the wilderness. Things are just too intense for me. I can't handle it. She'd disappear and do the same thing again. Pretty soon, one of us talked to the other person and realized that there was some little seed being planted behind the scenes. And we started talking to each other and saying, do you think she's doing this to them too? Eventually, we all got together and realized Rachel was the common denominator in us being at each other's throat. So, of course, most of us pulled, or most of them, I should say, left Rachel, ended the relationship with her. Not me, not Pastor Laura. I stayed with her, and I was her bestie. I was her best friend. She would take us on a journey of fear, suspicion, and exclusiveness as her friends, so that we would believe we were being almost protected by her. Like, oh, this was so nice of her to warn us about this person, What we didn't realize is she was warning them about us at the same time. So she's warning everybody about everybody else. And what would happen was when she would come in the room, we would all turn on her like, we know what you're doing behind the scenes, Rachel. What? What are you talking about? I didn't do anything. You're all picking on me. You're all ganging up on me. I can't handle this. I'm going to have to go back into the wilderness again. I should have stayed there. And she would feel like we were the disloyal ones and we were punishing her. But then she would in turn punish us by disappearing, like anybody cared. At that point, we were all angry at her for trying to turn us against each other. Wait, who said they're sorry? No, you're fine. Could you be wrong? We're just explaining why I'm not stopping to talk to people right now. I've got notes I got to read. I'm limited on time. I got to get up in the morning early, so I want to get this out, though. All right, because you see this stuff online, and you need to know what it is. All right, identity disturbance is the next one. Very often, somebody with borderline personality disorder will change their name online. Rachel did this, and I almost said Robert. Rachel did this. She would change her appearance. She'd do her hair differently, whatever. But it was usually just she would switch names periodically, or she would switch personas periodically. This wasn't a big characteristic for her, but I do know that a lot of borderlines will do this, and you'll see this a lot on YouTube. People will change names, they'll change rooms, they'll even maybe get different types of people into the room or have it be about a different topic. I'm not saying everybody that does this is borderline, but this is a common borderline thing, that they change their name and appearance because they're unstable in themselves. She would flip-flop by the hour from being a preacher lady to being a patient who needed prayer and help and whatever, to a mother figure, a mentor towards me. She could be singing in a chat room 1 minute, like with this intense, worshipful voice, and suddenly just need to leave or begin crying about who knows what. And everything was extremely hyper dramatic with her, even her singing voice. Now, you might say, well, that sounds like bipolar. There's a difference between borderline and bipolar. Bipolar are moods that last for like weeks to a month. Borderlines flip-flop throughout the whole day. They may come on and do a video that's the saddest thing you ever saw, and an hour later have a video where they're dressed like a clown and performing. That's a borderline. A bipolar person will stay in a mood for a longer period of time. That's how you know the difference of it. Okay, next thing, impulsivity. I'm going to have to hurry here because I notice it's already 11 o'clock. Being impulsive. Rachel would do things in an attempt to soothe herself sometimes. She had anorexia and she was a cutter. And she would tell me about very intense personal relationships from the past. Um, she would act on things without considering the consequences. Yeah, they're big liars. How she would appear to others or affect other people. Um, she binge ate a lot. I don't know about shopping addictions because some of them have that, spending addictions, intimate activities done with other people, promiscuous. No, she didn't do any of that. But she definitely was an anorexic. She had a drinking problem. She had to take medicine for a very difficult disease that she had, but she would mix it with alcohol, her medicines. And I remember she's like, get me my pills and get me that beer in there. I'm like, you don't drink alcohol and take pills. You don't do that. She's like, I always take it like that. I like the taste of it. I just drink it for the taste. I'm thinking, yeah, who are you lying to? Yourself? Because you're not lying to me, Rachel, at all. All right. Suicidal thoughts and behaviors. She definitely was very suicidal a lot. She would call me up and let me know that she had pills sitting on her bureau. She couldn't handle life. Everybody would be better off without her. She couldn't do any good for the kingdom of God anymore, stuff like that. Um, and a lot of times she would do it like, you're going to turn on me, you're going to leave me, you're going to end this friendship. I'll show you. I'm going to do away with myself really bad. And she would cut her wrists sometimes. Um, a lot of times people that have borderline personality disorder will accidentally die from overdosing. Sometimes their cutting is too deep when they're cutting themselves. Sometimes they try to do other things to kill themselves and it's accidental that they die. They want to die, but they don't want to die, kind of. Um, yeah, I never understood why she drank alcohol with the pills. That just didn't make sense to me. The next trait is affective instability. This means that she acted on things without ever considering that she didn't need to. Like those of us that get sad, we might cry, we might not. We think about, well, okay, I'm in the middle of a movie theater. Maybe I shouldn't really cry super loud. Borderlines, they'll just do it. They don't care. They don't think about, I'll disturb the person next to me. Nothing like that. They'll whine, they'll complain, they'll play the victim. That's what they do. If they're angry, they may throw things, they may break things, they may cuss, they may threaten. And it's very suddenly like this. They go from happy 1 minute to angry the next minute to the next hour. They're going to be, who knows, tightrope walking or something. And then 5 minutes later, they'll start telling you about their cat that died last week. I mean, it's very, very switcheroo. They'll feel fearful a lot and like suddenly hide, disappear. As I said, Rachel would go into the wilderness. Online, what this looks like is they will block you and then unblock you and apologize and then get angry at you and block you again and then start telling people you did all this stuff you didn't do. And Rachel would accuse me of betraying her to people by talking against her. She would then go to talk to another online person about me, saying that I did this stuff to her. And then she'd come back and say, I am so sorry. I am so ashamed of myself. You're the best friend I ever had. I can't believe I betrayed you like that. And then 2 hours later, I hear from my friend she's backstabbing me again. Again, that's a borderline. Number 7, and that's an online borderline. I can sleep fine. Okay, number 7, chronic emptiness. Borderlines feel like a shell of a person. They want to fill the emptiness through other people or addictive behaviors, yet their empty hole is bottomless. They don't have an inner core, so when something triggers them, they fold. They fold like crumble, like somebody without an inner being. Like we have inner structures that hold us together. Well, an emotional inner structure is not there for a borderline. Rachel found her worth in whomever she attached to. And in my situation, she decided, like I said, I was her pastor, yet she also tried to mentor me. She would do anything she could to fill the emptiness in her days. She would tell me she felt chronically lonely all the time and just like a shell of a person. Um, People like that often go on and make videos where they're just kind of, playing the victim. Just honestly, everybody feels sorry for me. I'm not saying everybody that does that, that's what they're doing, or that they're borderline. It's just basically that's how they are. They're just always empty. They always feel forlorn, like everybody has deserted them and nobody likes them. And the truth is, a lot of people don't like borderlines because they're so annoying. Their behavior is absolutely annoying. I'm talking about untreated extreme borderlines here, by the way. Not just anybody that has BPD is annoying, because those of them that are getting treated with the proper therapy can learn, hey, if you do this, this is how it's perceived. This is what people are watching and seeing you doing, and this is how they're perceiving it. People that are not being properly treated, exactly what I'm telling you is what's going to go on with them. Number 8, inappropriate displays of anger. Robin would scream, yell, throw things, hit people. People walk on eggshells to not set them off, not trigger them. They have very thin skin. And she was very hypersensitive to odd stuff. Like, we were watching a movie one time. It was called Signs. I don't know if any of y'all have seen that, where the aliens invade the earth and stuff. And she would, like, I think I said Rachel, right? I guess. I don't know, whatever. Her name was Rachel. Um, she would point and say, "You filthy spirit, you get away from them." And they were aliens, like on a movie. And she thought they were like real. And she would cast demons out of the television set. And I remember her husband and I just looked at each other like, okay, yeah. She's like, "Did you see that? Did you see that demon? That devil just jumped on them." I'm like, it's an alien, Rachel. It's not a devil. Like, God really needs to heal that family. It's a movie. What? you know, that kind of weirdness. Um, and after they act like this, if anybody calls them on it, then they might feel like ashamed and remorseful and embarrassed. And they feel that whole trigger of abandonment again. You're going to embarrass me. You're going to make me look bad in public. You're going to tell everybody what I did. Then you're going to leave me. And then they get mad at themselves for acting the fool, and they self-harm again, cutting themselves or beating themselves or whatever they do. Rachel would lash out at me. Then she'd feel ashamed and apologize and go cut herself. Too long. A few years. I was best friends with her for about 3 years. Long enough to know I don't want another one with that problem. This all happened through the day to day, from hour to hour, flip floppy, angry, happy, stressed, lonely, happy, back and forth all day long. When under stress, she would believe that people were conspiring against her and speaking against her negatively. And she would start almost seeming psychotic, like something terrible is about to happen. She would even tell me that. She would say that there was a worldwide conspiracy and we were all going to be dead like in 10 years, that the government was plotting to kill us all. And now, I'm not saying I don't believe in conspiracy, because I do to an extent, but she would make it seem so imminent, like it was about to happen in an hour. Everybody go stockpile food because we're all, or because somebody in the government, I've talked on the red phone to the higher ups in Washington, and they said that there's something going on and a train just crashed, and I believe that that is God warning us of the impending doom that we're about to experience. And yeah. So she would also have these bouts of, I know that you're against me. I know that you've been talking to people and that you're going to get me and you're going to attack me and you're just out to get me. And yeah, people online will do that a lot, where they'll turn everything around. They may be the one driving somebody else crazy, but they'll tell you, well, that person did this or said that about me, when it's really them. In these cases, sometimes you'll see the borderline act like a child and curl up in a little ball and whine and complain and say, everybody hates me, or so and so isn't my friend anymore, or whatever. She often did that. She would literally physically curl into a ball and want me to hold her like a child. So yeah, this is a grown woman in her 30s, by the way. For most of us, if somebody's going to leave us or end a friendship or whatever, Yes, it was a friendship prior to my education. Exactly, Melly. If somebody's going to leave us or end a friendship or even hang up the phone, we're pretty much like, well, I really don't want to hang up with them, but I got other stuff I can go do and whatever. Not a borderline. It's no, you can't go. Oh my gosh, you can't leave her. I can't you just talk a little bit longer? Come on, we were having a really good conversation. You don't really have to go, do you? Whatever. Your dishes will be there. You can wait, and you feel this pull on you, like, no, 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 don't leave me, don't leave me. I can't live. I can't live without you. And if you walk out the door to go to work, oh my gosh, no, don't. It's so long. I can't wait all day to see you again. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to be so bored. I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to die. They just get real clingy and leechy. It's very uncomfortable when you're on the receiving end of it. And when you're the borderline, I'm sure. It's a terror like no other terror. Um, they'll always change their hair, their looks, get piercings, cuttings, brandings. They'll change their name, like I said before. Very draining, yes. They have very unstable emotions, angry, sad, happy throughout the day. Like I said earlier, bipolar is different. You got manic episodes that last a long time with bipolar, not with a borderline. They don't have manic episodes that last a long time. They go flip flop, bounce, 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 bounce through the day. Online, you'll see somebody put up a video about a death in the family, and then they'll take the video down. And then you'll see another video pop up about their dog, and then they take that one down. And then you'll see three more videos pop up about somebody that turned against them. And they may leave those up for about a week. And then all of a sudden, those are gone. Or maybe one of them's gone, or two of them's gone. And they'll always have these titles on them that draw you in. So you're like, oh my gosh, what's going on with her now? That's how Rachel was. It would just draw people in. She would put names on these chat rooms. We'd go in there, and it would be like, okay, where's the big emergency? You made it sound like it was so urgent and everything. Oh, it is. It is. It's very urgent. So and so did such and such to me and whatever. And you're sitting in there going, I really don't see why that was a big enough deal to make that kind of title on the room. Because now you drew us in, and it's like, you know what they call it. Now I can't remember what it's called. It's like a baiting. What do they call that when people do that on YouTube? I can't remember now. I totally drew a blank, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Those catchy titles that draw you in, but it's really not what you think it is when you get in there. That's typical borderline stuff. They do that. They like to get the attention, and then they like to punish you afterwards because, yeah, clickbait. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Um, so, yeah, basically, a borderline switches by the hour, a bipolar switches by the weeks, months of long lasting, consistent, odd behaviors. So that's the difference. Yeah, a big grand finale, of course. Yes, they have to announce it. Oh, go away quietly? Never. No. It was tearful and dramatic, and Laura doesn't love me anymore. She's betrayed me. She's told everybody about me, and I would never do that to my best of friends. All I did was ask people to pray for her, and they went back and told her that I was turning against her and poisoning people against her and whatever. That's what happened with that. And I finally ended the friendship because it was too much. Anyway, oh, Kim, we were saying earlier, from now on, we're going to say if you want to let people know to like the video instead of the whole thing, Yeah. Because I'm going to be me, not anybody else, and I'm not taking anybody else's sayings. Yeah. Oh, hey, Linda. I'm done anyway. That was just basically what I wanted to explain to you was what the traits are. So when you see people online acting that way, you'll know that's what it is. Those are those traits. Now, I can't diagnose anybody specifically, but I have had several people tell me that they have borderline personality, and a lot of them do follow that format, definitely, if they're not being treated. So now you know a little bit more about how it looks, how it operates online. Um, yeah, so That's that, I guess. Oh, that's all right, Sue. I know what it is. So, y'all, that was pretty much it. That's all I got. Um, my relationship with Rachel was a very tumultuous one. At times, it felt rewarding when we would sit and read the Bible together and share biblical insights and stuff. But then, just as quick, she would have some kind of a breakdown, and all of that would end, and I'd have to be like a mommy to her and comfort her, and it got very draining, very very draining, like Generation X said. That's all right. It's not that long. You can rewind it and watch it. Um, so when I see somebody, like there was somebody I was watching today who apparently had an issue with another YouTube creator. And it seemed to me, and I think probably to everybody else, that the YouTube creator that was attacking the one person was projecting onto her really what she was doing. Yeah, I know. 23 kids next week by myself. Well, not totally by myself. There's other people there, but I don't know how that's going to look. I'll let y'all know when it happens. Tomorrow, I just have to start gleaning a little more from the teacher that's there already and learn how to do lesson plans real quick because I've never done one, so that's going to be fun. Oh, not to keep trying to come back. She always came back. She would come back from the wilderness, as she said. And then everybody would be real calm, and then she'd leave, and everybody be at each other's throats all over again. So that's how that worked. Well, I'm explaining how you can understand it. A lot of people on here are borderline and bipolar. Yes, to answer your question, Carol. But you'll see this behavior a lot because borderlines like to hide out, and the best place for them to hide out and switch personas is on the internet because nobody's there with them and can't see their body language. They don't know exactly what, is happening. Yeah, all of YouTube, not just on here. This wasn't even on YouTube. This was literally on. Oh wow, that makes me sideways again. This was actually on Pale Talk. This wasn't even on YouTube. I wasn't part of YouTube at the time. There was no YouTube Live. There were no YouTube communities. Oh, you're welcome. Did I make one? I don't remember if I made you a video of that, or were you being kind of silly about it? Did I give you the link? Yeah, you had Pale Talk years ago. Oh gosh, that was back in 99 to 2003, maybe. It was a while ago. That was right before the narcissist came along after that. Oh, good, Linda. I'm glad. Yes, could you be wrong? I think they did. But at the same time, I like live streaming because, I can be with all of y'all. So that's good. And I could do all the things I've done on here live stream. It's been pretty nice. So I can't totally complain. It's a mixed bag. There's good and bad in everything. But yeah, a lot of times if you hear somebody complaining about another person, don't just take it at face value that the person is telling you the truth or that it's really not the other way around, that that person has the problem that the one is blaming them for. Because that's what Rachel used to do. She would get on and say I was saying all this stuff, and I'd be sitting there thinking, that's not me that does that. That's you that does that. I never did that to you. It's just kind of their behavior will drive you nuts. That's why if you don't need to be in a relationship with someone that has it, don't. I'm not going to anymore. I've had my fair share of abuse. I'm done with it. I want a clear head and a nice, calm life with people that I can trust, not people that are all over the place and not getting proper treatment. Now, the proper treatment is called dialectical behavior therapy. It's a form of cognitive behavior therapy. Basically, what cognitive believes is that what you think, you feel, and you act on. What a borderline thinks is wrong, usually, is based on their feeling, and then they act on it without thinking about it. Dialectical behavior therapy teaches them how other people grasp what they're doing. Like, okay, borderline person, when you get online and talk about how you're going to go cut your wrist till you die, people are looking at you like you're nuts. You know, basically, they're like, this person isn't someone that needs help. This person has a few screws loose and needs to be on medication. That's what dialectical behavior therapy, to an extent, maybe that's an extreme of how, yeah, how they point it out. But they're pretty tough on those clients, aren't they, Linda? You watched it, so. And by the way, if you could send me links to those videos or post them here or whatever, that'd be so helpful to me. I love watching those kind of videos because it helps explain some things to me too. But they basically get them to step back and say to them, okay, so you did this, and what happened next? Well, I was screaming and yelling, and mom sent me to my room. So, like, if it's a kid that has borderline, okay. And I hate my mom because she hates me and she resents me, and I just think she's mean and she doesn't want me to be happy, and so she sends me to my room. She just likes to punish me all the time. And then they'll look at the kid and say, "Is that really what you think?" Yeah, she hates me. She wants to make me sad all the time. She wants to make me miss out on things and whatever. And they just keep talking to the person to get them to realize, okay, when you're ranting and raving and you're not doing what you're supposed to do, there's consequences. It's not that she hates you. It's that she has to show you consequences. And nobody's out to get you. You may feel that way, but let's look at the facts. Didn't your mom take you to the store the other day when you needed to go? Yeah. Didn't your mom invite your friend over for a party? Well, yeah. So, do you think she really hates you? No, I guess not. That's kind of how it goes. It teaches them boundaries, and it also teaches them proper perception of what's happening and how their reactions affect other people. Because of borderline, they don't know that they actually look pretty foolish sometimes online when they make certain videos, especially when they're blaming somebody else for something they did, especially when, like in Rachel's case, she had a reputation for being very erratic in her behaviors. So she would come on and tell people, oh, Pastor Laura, which is what she called me, she said this or that. She's not a real pastor and she's not a real minister and whatever. The fact is, I am an ordained minister, 3 times ordained by 3 different pastors. But she wanted to make me look bad. And so she would come on and tell people I wasn't. And she basically would try to put everything on me. And she wasn't going through dialectical behavior therapy. She should have been. So she never saw things or perceived things in the proper way. She thought everybody else was the problem and couldn't see her own flaws. It's just how it was. And it just got to the point where, like I told you at one point, she would sit and try to coach her son's soccer game and yell at the players, no, move to the right, move to the right. No, Jeremy, he had the ball. You need to throw it to him. And I remember the coach just looking over at her like, lady, last I checked, I'm the coach. Sit down and be quiet, And actually her husband would say, Rachel, sit down. You're not the coach. I know, I'm just trying to help. No, it's not your place to help. Butt out, basically, And it was just annoying to everybody around her, the way she tried to control everybody and everything. And so, yeah, it's how it was. And how it is when you're dealing with somebody that has that disorder. It's like very, very frustrating. Hey, Robbie. Yeah, my night's okay. My night is going to be fine once I get to sleep and wake up in the morning to face the music at work. Ugh. So anyhow, I'm saying all that to say this. A lot of the people you see on here where their behavior is not making sense, where they are putting weird videos up, where they're putting up videos and taking them down and saying stuff about people or constantly cussing people out that really haven't done anything wrong. A lot of that could be that that person has a personality disorder or possibly a mood disorder. So remember that next time and realize that people, a lot of these people that grew up in abusive homes, traumatic homes, were abused themselves in different ways, a lot of them have learned these kind of things as coping skills. I'm going to pull my videos down before anybody can shame me about them. Or I'm going to blast that person before they can confront me. Or I'm going to make them look bad so that I look better. That kind of stuff. It's a defense mechanism. That's why it does not faze me. I'm not even going there when I start seeing stuff like that pop up against me on different channels. Because I already know. First of all, I'm a very good discerner of character. And I know what the patterns are in personality disorders. So it's not too hard to spot it. You got people that have had problems with other people on here, like repeated problems with other people on here, that are all of a sudden coming on and bad mouthing people and saying that people said stuff they didn't say. And then you have people coming on with more drama about stuff going on, even in other people's lives. Some stuff that should really be kept in private, honestly. Some things that should be handled legally and not on YouTube. Um, yeah. Well, not what? Attention seeker. Linda, I don't know about that. I don't know you well enough to say that. But basically, yeah, they're always the victim. They don't try to help themselves, or they're the hero. You know, I did this for them. I was there for them. I funded their channel. You know, I paid them money. I did this. I did that. I sent them this or that. All of that stuff. If you did that out of the kindness of your heart, you don't then come on and say, "Hey, I did this. I did that." You don't brag about it like you need some kind of a badge of something. Thank you, Alexandra. Um, and a lot of them have like real bad parenting issues. Like they resent their mom because their mom possibly was a narcissist or a borderline or who knows what, or their dad or somebody in their caretaking situation just was not a wholesome person. So they don't have a tight relationship with them. It's usually pretty much a warning flag when you see that. A lot of times they don't have good relationships with their children if they're borderline because the child wants to grow up and the borderline does not want them to individuate because they won't have the mirror that they need. Because remember, the borderline lacks an inner core, and that child is something that represents them in a sense because they birthed the child. So they don't want them to leave. They don't want them to grow up. They don't want them to have their own lives. Very common with borderline moms to be very resentful of their daughters, especially if those daughters are getting young male attention, because the borderline mom is envious. She wants what that daughter has. She wants her youth. She wants guys to pay attention to her, even if she's in a marriage. Borderline wives have been known to look elsewhere outside their marriage. So, yeah, um, very common. So, I think there are many people on here with different disorders. I really do. I think that is where people come to hide. People come to validate themselves. People come to mirror themselves. People attach to other people, trying to find that person that's going to be their best friend and stick by them through thick and thin, even when they're rejecting them, even when they're treating them like garbage. You know, if you leave, you're the bad person. That's just how it is. And very common. So anyway, I'm not staying on here long, y'all. I really need to get some sleep. It's 11:30. I have to be up at about usually 6 at the latest to get everything done that I need to do. But it was a pleasure hanging out with you as usual. Hopefully, this kind of gives you a head up on what this disorder is about, how you can see it online in people. Um, Hi, going deeper. And so, yeah, and I'm not surprised if, people go from room to room, especially if they go from room to room and they badmouth me and then they come back in here and they badmouth another person. It's like that's borderline behavior. It doesn't mean you're borderline, but that's very borderline behavior. So, guys, if you don't want to be perceived as having a disorder or just being erratic in your moods, don't pull that kind of stuff. Don't. It's not cool. It's not kosher. Oh, well, you may be histrionic, Linda. If you like attention, that doesn't make you borderline or anything else. It just might mean you're histrionic and you like attention, or it just might mean you like attention. Just depends on the level of attention you seek, I guess. Anyhow. All right, y'all. I hate to leave with 30 people in the room, but I must. So have a great night. Thanks for coming in. I'll see you on the next live.